Okay, fifth graders, I'm going to walk you through the steps of what to do after you have drawn your drawing onto your sketchbook. Remember, you're not including your border here because you have this tracing paper that you're going to put over the top, trace your drawing from your sketchbook. Then on this tracing paper is where you're going to include your border that goes all the way around your drawing, your repousse. So whatever my border is, I'm just going to show you on one side here so you have an idea. But my border goes all the way, and if part of your design touches the border, that's okay. We just kind of skip over that part. Okay, be more creative in your border than Mrs. Snyder was. All right, now that we have our design and it's ready, then I start following the steps on this page, which is the very back page of our repousse packet. So the first one says, complete your planning sheet about your chosen Hawaiian plant, animal, or place. So I turn it over, I have the information filled out on this side, I can check it off. Check. Number 2 says, tape your planned contour drawing to the foil. So I'm gonna take my drawing, I'm gonna get a piece of foil from Mrs. Snyder, and I'm going to tape it down onto the foil. Okay, it's just using a couple pieces of tape. The tape is over on the counter by the sink. Now that I have it taped down, the next step says, place a magazine or newspaper under your foil so you have a soft surface to work on. We don't have newspaper or magazine that we're going to use. We're actually going to be using this felt. The felt is over by the window, just by the tape. So I'm going to put my drawing that's taped down on top of the felt and read the rest of those directions, which say, use a dull pencil and trace over the lines in your design. This should press the foil down so your design is transferred to the aluminum. Once the basics have been traced, remove the drawing from the foil and use it for reference, which means don't throw it away. So I'm going to take this here, and now that it's onto the soft surface, I'm just going to push down on my lines so that they transfer, just like we did last year with the self-portraits in the styrofoam. We're doing the same thing, but now we're transferring our design onto the metal. So I'm not going to do every line, I just want to show you some so that I can show you the repousse and chasing process. So let's say that, so right now we're actually chasing because we are getting our design pushed down into the metal from the front, and that's what chasing means. Okay. So let's say I did everything, and I know I didn't, but I just wanted to do some so I can show you what it looks like. So remember, yours has tape on it, so I'm going to undo the tape, put my drawing aside, but hold on to it, and now I have a design in the foam, or into the metal. So these lines have been chased already, which means they've been pushed down into the foil. Now I'm going to decide, that's what the next step says, you'll need to decide which shapes will be convex, so that's raised, that's repousse, and which shapes will be pressed in. Working slowly, go over the areas a number of times to stretch the metal without tearing it. Check your work on the reverse, and then we fix it by going back and forth. So by looking at it here, I'm going to use some tools that are over on the counter that kind of look like this. They're clay tools, but this one works really well. It kind of looks like this curved shape here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger on it like this to be able to push. So on the metal, I have to decide, which parts do I want to push in, and which do I want to push out? I actually want to push out a large part of my whale, so I'm going to work from the back side. So by turning it over, I can put my tool in between a couple lines, so I have a shape. And now if I push on that shape, and it's going to mess up my camera, by pushing on the shape, kind of like in circles, I'm able to really get relief, which means popping it up, and it's okay. I'm really pushing hard. It hurts my finger to push this hard, but when I turn it back over, I can see that I definitely have a popped up shape from the surface. And now if I wanted to refine it and make it look more detailed, I can go back and I can push around the shape with either my dull pencil or another wooden tool to kind of chase it and give it a little bit more detail. So same thing from the front side. If I wanted to push in some of these sections that I've made with the part of my whale here, I can push it from the front And it's just sort of like scraping the metal and moving it to a different spot. I know I'm going outside of my lines there a little bit. Going back in. So I'm going to push that metal back to how it was. But I can actually push the metal so that it goes in too from the front. So if there were different places that I wanted to push in, so if you had a turtle or something that had little spots or something, you could take your metal tool, and by using kind of like a circular motion, you're able to push down different pieces of the metal so it kind of grows more concave. So that's the basics of repousse and chasing. You're just going to keep going back and forth and then making sure at the very end that you've gone back and chased everything so that it looks really defined and detailed before we move on to making your little pieces. You can also add texture or details to these pieces. So if this piece was repoussed, I could push from the back to make different kinds of textures that are then going to pop up onto this side. Okay, so that is a technique. All of the directions for how to follow these are on this sheet. Go through these directions so that you know where you are and what you should be doing.